Hi, my friends. Welcome. It's Ty Hicks, results coach and national influence and leadership trainer. So excited to have you here. Today, we're talking about something that you may not have explored for a long time, and that is how do you create an extraordinary romantic relationship? This is something that, believe it or not, there is an art and a science to. There are laws of relationship just like there are laws of business. And if you fail to honor those laws, you're going to have emotional pain in the area of relationship. Now, why the hell would we even be talking about this? Because it's such an important area of our lives, and if we're going to be honest about what it means to be human, what it means to be fulfilled, we have to recognize that you're never going to reach that total level of fulfillment that you deserve and desire unless you master what it means to create an extraordinary relationship. Now, I'm also bringing this content to you today because with all of my results coaching clients that I've had over the years, more times than not, there is a related challenge. If somebody comes to me with a problem they're facing with their business or their income or their emotional well-being, there is almost always a related or parallel challenge happening with their romantic relationship. This is an area of life that is so intertwined with everything else that we do, and it affects everything else that we do. I mean, you cannot maximally grow your business unless you have a thriving relationship. You cannot feel excited and passionate unless this area of your life is handled in the best way possible. Similarly, if you do not have the appropriate relationship foundations built, then you're not going to be able to build the most lasting future of financial security for you and your partner. So it's such a pivotal area, and it's also an area where, unfortunately, so many people are misguided about what to do. Nobody has ever taught us this stuff in school, and believe it or not, there are tried and true methods and strategies that need to be applied in the area of relationship if you truly want to have one that is vibrant and deepening every single day. All right, so let's talk about what it means to actually create an extraordinary relationship. Now, the first thing that we have to chat about is that you've got to ensure that you really understand how important it is to not make the perfect the enemy of the extraordinary. And here's what I mean. In my experience working with couples and individuals on improving their relationships, here's an interesting pattern that I've found. What I've found is that when people are trying to evaluate their relationships and are trying to improve them, first of all, very often they put their complaints about the relationship in the context of an external blame onto the partner. And very rarely we take our own level of ownership and responsibility for the level of influence that we have in creating the relationship as it stands right now. So that's the first big thing that I really want to get you to think about and reflect on here for a minute, is what level of responsibility have you been owning in your share of what's happening in the relationship? And are you truly taking over ownership of creating the solution, or are you instead trying to just pick apart the other person and talk to yourself about how it is that they're not measuring up in your eyes, okay? So that's the first little moment of accountability I have to have with you here, because if we're gonna have a heightened level of conversation about how you improve your relationship, what we've got to understand is you've got to maintain ownership and responsibility from an individual level about this. It's just not going to happen. Otherwise, nothing is going to transform. Now, here's the other interesting pattern I noticed when people started talking to me about their relationships. What I found is that when people were on the fence of whether or not they thought they should stay in their current relationship, or whether or not a prospective partner was right for them, and they were unsure as to whether or not they should initiate a relationship with that person, typically what happens is we get in a mindset of evaluating the relationship based on our evaluation of the partner or prospective partner. Meaning that you get into a headspace where you are evaluating each little discrete characteristic of the individual, right? And very often it's tempting to look at all of the different things that annoy you or bug you or that are not measuring up to your ideal perfect standard, okay? So it's very easy to pinpoint those things and to look for them and find them. I mean, if you're looking for something that's going to be wrong or not perfect, you're always going to be able to find that. And that's the thing that I want you to understand first, is to not make the perfect the enemy of the extraordinary, meaning that any individual that you could potentially be in a relationship with, if you're looking for things to be wrong, you're going to find them. And that's not a helpful game for us to play. It's not going to be helpful in terms of getting you what you really want. So first, I need you to take a step back. Stop just evaluating your partner. Stop looking for all the things that are not perfect. And now we need to enter into a new conversation. And this new conversation needs to be, how can we design a relationship that's not perfect, but is extraordinary, that will actually be way better than anything you've ever experienced before, even though not every single thing about it is absolutely how you want it to be, because that is just frankly a myth, okay? If you're not able to step from that first headspace into the second, I'm telling you, you're always going to have pain in this area, because what's going to happen is you will be in relationships and you will find something wrong, and you will fester on that, you will focus on it, and you will think to yourself, well, they don't have this quality, and therefore I don't think this is the right thing for us. And you will leave the relationship only to enter into a new one and find something new or something similar that is not perfect in that relationship. So the problem is, even though you left the first relationship, you took yourself with you, right? And now you're making the second one just as incorrect or wrong as you did the first. So what we first got to do is stop that mind game, and we now have to enter into a conversation about how we design an extraordinary relationship. And so I'm going to show you how to look at this in a very different way than just evaluating individuals for their faults or merits, okay? So the first step that we're going to do is you're going to describe your dream relationship in detail, okay? Now, what I want you to do is not worry about what seems likely, not worry about what you think is probable, not worry about what you think might transpire. I instead want you to kind of get in emotional energy, kind of like a kid on Christmas Eve writing a letter to Santa Claus, right? Like, you know, if you were to write it, it could come true, right? A sense of active expectancy, as if it were really going to happen, as if you couldn't fail. That's where I really want you to come from on this. Now you might be thinking, okay, Ty, this seems, I get it, I'm gonna listen to the video, but I'm not gonna write anything down, I'm not gonna take action. Okay, well, you're not gonna improve your relationship then, I'm telling you that right now. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom here, but you've gotta participate. You've gotta be able to take them from my hand, put them in the door, and open them. So I need you to take action on this. Trust the process. I'm telling you, regardless of whether you are in a relationship right now or whether you are, you know, anticipating that you will be soon, this will be a valuable exercise for you. It will probably be one of the most valuable exercises you ever do, frankly. And I don't take that statement lightly, but you've got to take it seriously. So get your pen and paper. Here's what I want you to do. In a minute, I'm going to prompt you to pause the video and for you to write. But here's what I want you to do. Again, get in that mindset like a little kid, you know, right before Christmas, active expectancy, right? And then secondly, I want you to start writing every little detail that you could possibly think of. Daydream about it, make it vivid, you know, like it's a movie and you're the star and this person that's in the movie with you is, you know, your dream lover, right? That's what I want you to be thinking about. I want you to think about every little detail. You know, how would they communicate? How would they treat your friends? How would they treat your family? Would they be passionate? What kind of career would they have? How would they look at you? What would the sex be like? You know, how would you guys treat each other? How would you communicate with your challenges? How would you work through those problems, okay? I want you to think about everything and anything, and I want you to just write and write and write and write. Don't self-edit. Don't try to make it right, okay? Just write down everything that comes to mind and just brain vomit everything you can on the paper until by the end of it you go, yeah, you know what, that really would be my dream relationship. You know, once your mind feels empty and you really feel confident that what you've written is a real vision for what your dream relationship would be, you'll probably end up having about a page worth of material, okay? So pause and please do that right now. Okay, assuming that you took action in that regard, and if you didn't, go back and do it, okay? If you're not used to these videos with me by now, I'm always gonna try to hold you accountable to whether or not you took action, because again, you are not going to get results unless you take action. You might as well just not watch another one of my videos if you're not gonna do the things that I'm telling you to do, okay? If you really wanna be serious about improving your life, take action with it. So, did you actually do the exercise? I hope so. You should now have about a page worth of a description of your dream relationship, like everything that could possibly go right in it, how they would look at you, right? All those things, all those questions that I asked you to consider. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go back and, here's a sample list actually of things that you might have ended up with, right? So, you know, intelligent, caring, adventurous. You could also you probably should have also mentioned some of the things that you guys would do together. What would be the activities that you all would have done together as well? Now, what I want you to do is go back through your list, go back through that dream relationship vision, and I want you to identify your musts, okay? Because there are things on that list that would be great. They'd be fantastic. I'm sure you'd love to have them, but they wouldn't be musts in order for you to have an extraordinary relationship, right? So what I want you to do is now go back through the list and underline or circle all the things that, if you're being honest and fair with yourself, to have an extraordinary relationship, those things would be musts. Go ahead, pause me, go ahead and do that right now. All right. Now, next step in the exercise is we need you to describe in detail who you would have to be in order to attract that person into your life, okay? Because so far you might have been viewing your world of relationship in the context of who's going to measure up to my standards. But now that's not the appropriate way to look at it. I hope you're starting to see a more productive way to look at this. The more productive way is like, what's the vision for the relationship? And then who would I have to be to actually attract that person into my life, or to bring out that person in my partner? Who would I have to be to bring out that person in my current partner if your wish is to stay with your current partner and bring about this vision? So now I want you to pause me again, and I want you to write, who would you have to be to attract that ideal partner? And just write and write and write, and you'll probably end up getting a list something like this, or something with some similar qualities to it, but you really want to get clear on that, okay? Go ahead and pause and do that right now. All right, now once you've done that, you then need to go back through and try to identify the really key must things that you could focus on to manifest yourself as somebody who would attract that ideal partner. Okay, so go back through now, underline and circle the musts that you think you'd really have to zero in on. In other words, what would be the things that the ideal partner that you just described would not tolerate not having in you if you are going to truly attract them into your life? Okay, go ahead and do that now. All right, so look how much progress you've made. If you've actually done the exercises, if you haven't done the exercises, you've made no progress whatsoever. But if you've actually taken the time, taken the few minutes to actually walk through this, you should now have clarity of what your dream relationship would look like. Now, maybe, I don't know what your situation is. Maybe you're not in a relationship and you want to be in one. Great. Now you've got a vision for what that relationship could be like and what your must would be. So now when you go into the dating pool, you know, you can use that. Now, I'm not recommending you pull out your list on your first date, okay, and grill people and see whether or not they measure up. But wouldn't it be helpful for you to know what you're after before you actually just jump into, you know, another relationship? Wouldn't that be a helpful thing for you to understand? I think so. Now, if you're in a relationship right now, and maybe you're on the fence of determining whether or not it's something that could stand the test of time, now you've got some really important things. You now have a vision for what your dream relationship would look like, and you're clear on what your musts are. So now it's time for a moment of honesty. Are the things that you've identified as musts things that you think your partner has or could have? Okay, now if the answer is yes, then that means that you could create your dream relationship with your current partner. And if there's a possibility of that happening, and I'm sure there is, I would recommend you go that route, my friend, because you can't just be hopping from relationship to relationship. Eventually, you are going to have to stay, commit, and build something extraordinary. And that's the biggest lesson most people fail to understand about relationship, is they think they can just trade up, and it doesn't happen. They're just really trading in, and you're never really going to get anywhere else unless you develop the skill of getting clarity on where you want to go and developing the skills to actually make it happen, which by itself is a whole nother conversation for us to have at a later date as well. All right? Now, what you need to do is you need to take action in the next 12 hours. So if you're single, maybe you need to go put yourself out there. Go out to a bar, find a speed dating thing, go make an online profile, right? Whatever it is that you need to do, ask out that person that you've already found attractive, see if your friends can hook you up with somebody. Take action in the next 12 hours. That's the important thing. And now that you've got your list, you can help self-select the people that you're interested in going out with now a little bit better. Now, if you're with somebody already, you might be thinking, well, what action am I going to take now? Well, now, the best action you could take with your current partner is to enter into a conversation with them about what you've identified as your vision for your dream relationship. Now, the best way to enter into this conversation is not to say, hey, honey, here's my vision for a dream relationship, okay? You don't want to make people feel insecure. You don't want to make them feel like you're unhappy. Instead, the better way to navigate this conversation is to go to them and ask them, hey, honey, what would be your dream relationship? I really would love to know how I could be better, how I could do things better. Tell me everything and anything about what you wish we would have in our relationship if it were the best it could possibly be. That would be a much better way for you to approach the conversation. And then you could bring out your vision, see where they intersect, and now you're entered into a very exciting conversation about how to create a vision for your relationship, right? Because if you don't know where the relationship is going, it's probably not going very far. And that's what you need to kind of come to grips with here. If you're not clear on where your business is going, where your health is going, or whatever the case, it's never going to improve. Without vision, people perish, right? It's biblical. So you need to get clarity on where the hell it is that you need to take the relationship, take action in the next 12 hours. Make sure it's in the next 12 hours though, because otherwise you will put it off, you'll kick the can down the road, and you will not make any progress. You've got to develop the muscle in your emotional fitness of taking action on the things you need to take action on and doing it quickly and decisively. So right now, before you leave this video, pinpoint what is going to be the action you take, ideally today, but at the maximum in the next 12 hours that's going to move you closer to creating that dream relationship. All right, now my next video is one that is going to be a lot of fun. It's on how to make fear your bitch, how to actually take the things you're fearful of and use that fear to your advantage so you never have to worry about it again. So I'm very excited about that. Keep an eye out in your inbox for that video coming to you shortly. I hope you enjoyed today, us talking about how to create the dream relationship. Make sure that you take action today. Do not let this go another single day. You deserve this, okay? But nothing is going to change if you just sit around wishing and hoping that it gets better. So go out there, take massive action, be passionate, and I'll see you in the next one.